The worst part of the whole 3 weeks is Asar B'Av. It's so difficult. You see, during the Yom Nirayim, you start Rosh Chodesh El, and you get to Rosh Hashanah, and you get to Yom Kippur. You know, once the shofar blows, you're done. You can realize it's like the shofar is sort of the collective sigh of the Jewish people. It's over, and we can go enjoy have Sukkos. On Tisha B'Av, you finish Ma'ariv, it's not over. You still can't shave, you still can't shower, you still can't eat meat, no music. Middle of work, what are you going to do? You're going to shave in the middle? What do you do? So what is that? Well, why? What's with Asar B'Av? Why do we need the extra connection? So it's like to add on the suffering, to add to the suffering. A little more. You suffered a little more. That's the Nakuda. So I'm just thinking, maybe it's a little bit like when you get into a fight with someone you love. And you make up and you put yourself out there and you're craving a response and it's delayed. And you're waiting. No. You're checking your email, checking your phone. Did we make up? Are we back on good terms? Can we start building the relationship again? Let me try to explain. What's the point of Tisha B'Av? But what's the idea? And we'll hear many wonderful ideas of Tisha B'Av. It's a day, the Mishnah says, Chamisha Dvarim. 5 terrible things, tragedies happened today. So we gather to commemorate them. And all the tragedies that befall the Jewish people, today is the day we just sit and we commemorate. Why? For what purpose? To be sad? We put it into a perspective of the calendar so we understand, I think, where Tisha B'Av falls out. Yeah, we're commemorating the bad things that happened to the Jewish people before we have to come to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. When we take a reckoning for what we do, we have to know that our deeds have repercussions. This is serious business. Our actions have ramifications. So as an introduction to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we have Tisha B'Av. Some Yira. We see it for real. That could be. I'm sure that's on some level true. That's the idea of Tisha B'Av. But I think the crux of what Tisha B'Av has to is not what I think. This is Masha Shamati, Masha Kariti, is to yearn. Is to yearn for what we lost. And I'm not talking about the Beis HaMikdash, because that's hard to yearn for. I'm talking about the relationship. The relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The relationship with our Tata. The relationship to our most beloved spouse. So I'd like to put it in a bit of a framework. I think there are three basic avodas we have to do on Tisha B'Av. I think it's cry, question, and crave. The most basic element of Tisha B'Av is crying. And Bechia It's like some people pay money to cry. People go to movies to read books and just to cry because it just feels good to cry. That's one type of crying, which is good. It's fine. But crying, we're talking about here, is reliving the pain. Feel the pain of 2,000, 2,500 years of Gullus. That's what we do in the Kinnis. We talk about all the tsaras that the Jewish people have gone through. And we try to feel it. Really feel the pain. And cry. What we've lost. Waxman said such an interesting thing. He said, think about this. If God forbid, Chas v'Shalom, just a mashal, if in 50 years there was a gzeira that we can't have a Pesach Seder. A gzeira, Chas v'Shalom, there's a gzeira, you couldn't have a Pesach Seder. So here we've all experienced a Pesach Seder. So we're sitting with our grandchildren, and it comes Pesach night, and you can't have a Seder. So what do? They take out a book and they read about the Seder. And you're sitting there, let me tell you what a Seder is about. Do you know what a Seder is? We used to eat, for weeks we would clean the house. And I put on a kittel and sit at the head of the table. And we put out our finest dishes, the silver. The house was magnificent. And we would sing, the kids would ask the Shtana. And they'd steal the Afrikaim and we'd eat the matzah and the maror. And they're just looking at you like, you don't know what you're talking about. And you're trying to give them what it was, what you're missing. And imagine if a Tana would come and look at our Seder and say, you guys think you're having a Seder? You don't have a Garden Pesach. We have the holiest day of the year, we have Yom Kippur. We love Yom Kippur. We feel like Malachim. And someone comes to the Beis Hamikdash like, this isn't Yom Kippur, right? Where are your goats? Aser Azazel, Aser Hashem. The Keter is the Kohen Gadol. You don't have Yom Kippur. Simchas Beis HaShoeva. We go to Simchas HaShoeva, when we're dancing. Yerushalayim, it's mamish freilich, you feel it. They have to look at you, we can be Shayiv Ruach HaKodesh out of Simchas Beis HaShoeva. So we can appreciate it, we can cry. We can feel pain. We don't get this opportunity too often because what happens next is something we have a once in a year opportunity to do. Because after you feel the pain, you're left with a question. We have lots of questions. And a whole year we can't ask Lema. We don't get to ask that question. We're forced to ask Lema, as was said here in the neighborhood. We have to ask for what? What's this for? And we get this said here, one day a year, we can think about all of our tzaras, and we could ask, Lama? Why? Rabbi Shalom, why? And after you read any story, and you're crying, and you're feeling the pain, it's begging to be asked, why? And after all the answers, you'll read in all the books, and they make a lot of sense. But we're all left with the kasha. Why? Why so terrible? Torturous? I mean, how many more questions? This week we have 64 good questions, Rabbi Shalom. 64. If you've read through the list of soldiers that were killed, 19, 20, 21. Guys never married, never had a kid. If older guys come back with reserves, you sign him. How many you sign him? And how many kids, how many people died with left their wives pregnant? So we could cry, but we can ask why? Which is a question which the only answer we really have is to crave. Say, Rabban Shalom, we need you back. We miss you. We understand this happening because we don't have you here. Our relationship is deteriorated on a national level, on a community, personally. Tish b'yavai, v'yetaretz kushes v'yibayis. We crave that day to get some answers. In Shema we say b'chol levavacha, v'aftas Hashem lekecha b'chol levavacha. Baal Tanya says that b'chol levavacha, what are the two laves? He said our lave is sometimes empty and sometimes it's full. Our lave is supposed to feel a yearning, a desire. When it's empty, it's feeling a yearning, the emptiness, the richut from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when it's full, it feels a simcha shel mitzvah. And we know all too well that our yearnings are not necessarily for that. And when it's full, it's not necessarily filled with that. And we doubt HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we want to fill it with that. We want to yearn for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We crave to have you close again. And Tisha B'Av is a moyed. What kind of moyed is this? It's a moyed where we can be honest. We can come and meet, and we can come and talk, and we can come and cry, and we can come and crave back to meet HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to reveal that part of us that's inside of us, get in touch with ourselves again. You can have a couple gets married, and every couple gets married in Shana Rishona. That's the idea of Shana Rishona. You have doubts. Was this right? Was this wrong? It's a good idea, a bad idea. And ultimately, the idea in a relationship is to build a bond, to connect. V'davak, to create a bond, to create a connection. And when that connection is built on, is trust. We make ourselves vulnerable. And if it works, we connect. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us that we cried a bechiyah shel chinam. A bechiyah shel chinam. We cried because we were scared to go into Eretz Yisrael. What are you scared about? We didn't trust Hashem. We didn't trust Him. We thought He was out to get us. And when trust is lacking in the relationship, you can't build. So we tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu today, we sit here, we cry, we question, we crave. We get that extra day after this Tisha B'Av, that extra time of Avelos, because we don't want that yearning to dissipate so quickly. That yearning has to stay there, that crave. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we beg of you, please, Rebbeinu Shalom. We crave to hear an answer to our questions. We crave to have all of our questions answered. And we won't stop crying until we do.